This is Deadlink. It's a new first-person shooter that just put out a PC demo for Steam Next Fest, and I highly recommend you all check it out. If you like what I push for on this channel, you need to play this. If you like Doom Eternal for its systems, you need to play this. A few months ago, the developers of Deadlink, a Polish studio named Grubby Entertainment, reached out to me for consultation. So I want to disclose that right away. I have been involved in this game a little, discussing balance, player incentive, UI stuff, etc. I recorded my gameplay for them, and they asked me lots of questions about why I did certain things and why I didn't engage with other things. I'm not benefiting financially from this game, I'm just recommending it to you because it's awesome, and that's it. Grubby Entertainment describes Deadlink as Doom Eternal meets Hades, and I couldn't think of a more accurate description. I'll touch on Hades first. In Hades, after every combat room, you're given some kind of upgrade or currency. You pick different abilities from the gods, or general stat boosts, or coins, and every time you play, these options are different, making you experiment with different character builds. It's a roguelite, so you're repeating the game every time you die, and using different types of currency to unlock permanent upgrades to take with you each run to give yourself a better fighting chance. Deadlink works the same way. Finish a combat challenge and pick a door. There's weapon mods, there's stat boosts, there's credits for store purchases, there's XP for permanent character upgrades, and most importantly, there's implants. Like the Hades powers from the gods, these are how you modify your character each run with different abilities. We'll get into that later. There's 4 levels to get through, just like Hades, with a boss fight waiting at the end, but the demo version only contains the first level. So that's the Hades side of things. How about the Doom Eternal side? Well, there's 2 parts to the Doom Eternal aspect. One is the obvious similarities like the dash and the grappling hook, but we know that's not what makes Doom Eternal the game that it is. It's the active resource management and the incentives for smart play to make all the systems work together. Deadlink will eventually offer multiple characters to choose from with different weapons and skills, but for the demo we've got the soldier class. He has the aforementioned grappling hook and an energy push. These abilities are on cooldowns. He's got a dash and a double jump, but all classes will have that. His primary weapon is a shotgun. His secondary is a rocket launcher. The shotgun has infinite ammo but has to be reloaded after every 4 shells, and the rocket launcher only has 2 rockets. That sounds weird, right? Are you gonna have to be running all over the place looking for rockets? Well, I suppose you could, but that's not how the game is played. Let's talk about the 2 foundations of Deadlink's moment-to-moment combat, the C-balls and the marking system. C-balls can be broken by flying into them with your mobility skill, in the soldier's case the grappling hook, or they can be broken with your melee. Breaking these orbs does 2 things. First, it gives you 2 rockets. Second, it activates certain implants you've equipped that trigger abilities. For example, if you have an implant slotted into your C-ball activator, every orb break will trigger it. Let's say you have Marksman Override set to your C-ball activator, which grants 50% extra damage to your next shot. Now, every time you break an orb, either by melee or grapple, you won't just get 2 rockets, you'll activate this damage buff for the next time you shoot. There's a lot of these kinds of implants that grant different buffs, like every time you break a C-ball it shocks a nearby enemy, or plus 10 temporary armor. The orbs are your main source of mobility for the soldier class. You'll be using them to get airborne and reposition yourself, and it's so cool that they incentivize this kind of movement through resource management and activating buffs. I've never seen anything like it before. Now, the marking system is your main way of recovering resources. There's 3 ways to mark enemies, which leaves them in this glowing state. Your skills, grappling hook and energy push, will mark enemies and stun them for a few seconds, and the grenade will mark them, but it won't stun them. Killing an enemy while they're marked will drop 3 resources. You'll get 9 points of armor, 1 rocket, and 1 shotgun shell. You'll want to be marking enemies as much as you can to keep your armor up because there are no health pickups. You can only recharge health at health stations or stores, and that's going to cost credits or cause you to skip an upgrade. Killing lots of marked enemies means you'll always have rockets, and you may be wondering why it also gives you a shotgun shell. If the shotgun is infinite ammo, why do you need shells? Well, these shells that come from marked enemies go directly into the shotgun, so as long as you're killing lots of marked enemies, you'll never have to reload the shotgun and you can just keep firing. It's a pretty brilliant system when you put it all together. If you're breaking C-balls and grappling to them, and intelligently marking enemies, you'll be able to remain constantly active in combat. And the implants don't just apply to breaking C-balls. Let's talk about the implant matrix. There's 4 activators applied to 4 different actions in gameplay: weapon swapping, grapple, or repel as it's called here, scrambler, which is the energy push, and C-ball. Each activator requires a certain amount of energy to power an implant. Weapon swapping has 1 energy point, so the only implants that can go here are implants that use 1 energy. In the tutorial, you'll be given an implant that shocks the next enemy you shoot. It costs 1 energy. If you apply this to the weapon swap activator, every time you change weapons, the next shot will shock them. But just because an implant costs 1 energy doesn't mean it has to be slotted into weapon swapping. It can go into any activator because they can all power something with such a low energy cost. So you could apply this to every time you grapple, push, or break a C-ball. If something has a higher energy cost, 2 or 3, then they have to go into something with enough energy to power it. And eventually you can get extra slots for these activators and put multiple implants in, creating interesting and powerful character builds. It's really cool because with a lot of these abilities you can experiment with what you want to set to activate them. When you play Deadlink, it's very unlikely you'll beat the demo on the first attempt. You'll probably die a few times. And since this is a roguelite where you're unlocking permanent upgrades, you might think that's the key to getting through it, just grinding. But it really isn't. You gotta figure out how to play or you're gonna get destroyed. You'll collect XP and tokens that can boost your max health and armor, ammo capacity, change the properties of your skills, even unlock a second dash. There's a lot to invest in, and I really enjoyed leveling up my character. To counter you getting overpowered, which you will eventually become, the game is going to have difficulty modifiers, similar to the heat system in Hades. It's not ready for the demo, but it'll be there when the game is ready. Deadlink feels simple at first because of the 2-weapon arsenal, but the complexity comes from how you move with your skills and how you manage cooldowns and resources through the marking system and implants. And I find it to be an infectious gameplay loop. I suggest you give it a good hour or so to get its hooks in you. It can feel a bit weird at first, and it takes a while to reveal itself to you. As you play, you'll encounter some difficult heavy enemies. In the demo, you'll see shield guys and geishas. Shield guys can be stunned with the energy push, and you can maneuver behind them to do lots of damage, but you can also get the same stun effect by using the grappling hook. Both skills will create an opening for you, but he's not invincible from the front. You can just unload on him and he'll eventually die. So don't think that you're boxed into doing one thing. Sometimes I deal with him a little at a time with rockets from the front as I'm running and killing other marked enemies. Sometimes I stun him and get damage from the back and then run away and shoot his shield to finish him off. The geishas, however, are really tricky, and they're probably going to throw a lot of you for a loop. They teleport around, shoot projectiles at you, and shield themselves to become invincible. You gotta keep an eye on them until you see them drop that protective layer and then go in for the kill. Stunning them with one of your skills is the best way to make sure they don't get that shield back up. This enemy feels a bit weird, and we can probably expect her to go through changes later. The end of the level features a boss fight with a giant mechanical spider, and it's pretty tricky. You gotta know what you're doing, keeping your resources up so you can actually damage the boss instead of being tangled up in common enemies the whole time. Again, we've got that Doom Eternal boss fight design where bosses are accompanied by other enemies that bully you but also provide resources needed for the fight. Additionally, there's a lot of little smart design choices in Deadlink that may go overlooked, but they significantly add to the smoothness of gameplay. Like how there's magnetism to your punch when you go to hit a C-ball. You don't have to be right up next to it, it pulls you in, which is great because you'll be swinging at these things in a panic. The scrambler push goes through geometry, eliminating those annoying moments of wasting your skill just because an enemy moved behind something. And activating push right before you grab a ledge will cause the animation to cancel, but the push still comes out. These little details go a long way in making the game feel friendly to the player. You'll notice I'm strictly talking about the gameplay, as if that's unusual for me, but I don't have much to say about the rest. This game isn't gonna pull you in with a compelling narrative, at least not right now in demo form. I don't know what the fuck's going on, and I hope there's some kind of engaging world building when the game is done. I'm curious who all these enemies are and who my characters are, but I'm not interested in just going through a bunch of tabs and reading notes. Visually, the game looks cool. It's not the most original art design ever, but it works and it's nice to look at while flying around. I don't know what this place is, but there's apparently a high demand for sex shops. Read it!
Groovy Entertainment is looking for a UI artist for Deadlink to help with menu design and icons and all that stuff. They need your help. So if you're a talented artist or you know someone, please join the Deadlink Discord or reach out on Twitter. Thank you. Alien isolation sucks.
All right, that's pretty good. Here's your sandwich.
So yeah, Deadlink. This game deserves your support. Get the demo, put it on your Steam wishlist. I want this game to do well. I rarely see teams get the gameplay this right so quickly. Seriously, when they sent me the early build, I had zero criticisms of the gameplay. It all just worked so perfectly, and I hope it only continues to get better. The other classes are going to be a real treat. I've already seen Class 2 and it's super fun. I hope you all have a great time with this one. Thanks for watching.